Good morning. I'm going to be working today with week 8, and we're going to be talking a little bit about it in the from the point of view of what's involved, and then we're going to be working with the program itself. So we actually are now hooking up the Rubik's Cube, and this will be a program that will be given to you. It will be on the website. It's Rubik Trial 2 version 19.1. Rubik's Trial 2 V19.1. And this will be able to be downloaded by you, and it'll be a trial program that you can use to start working on the Rubik's Cube with. So basically, we look at the Rubik's Cube and we divide it into a bunch of what we call tiles. And I numbered the tiles, and I gave each of them a designation, and then we put that into an array, and I'm going to show you that array in a little bit. But if you look at the layout of the screens and how we ask you to key in the information, you're going to actually be keying that information in because we don't have a camera system. And I'll show you how that's done. And that'll be one of the first things we do. Okay. Now, in this program, we have a lot of functions, and those functions are for your use. Later on, when you start adding programs, you can use these functions, but I programmed using some functions because that's kind of encapsulating some of these ideas and keeping them out of your way as you start programming in OB1. And I recommend that you do that. But again, you have the choice of adding to these functions, but I thought I'd at least put in here how a function is made. And this is kind of the directions of how to make a function. Most of the functions that we have do not have input and output information with them. If you do, this is how that's done. And these are the rules. This is in your text. And also the wiring diagram for the actual Rubik's Club, the whole 6 axes is shown right here. The only thing you need to worry about with this is that you have a 10 wire cable that plugs into the Rubik's Cube, and you're to wire those per these colors. And then there's 2 power wires that come over, and I'll show you those 2 as well. But basically, the black of the connector goes to 0, the blue goes to 1, the yellow, etc., and that's given. Now here's a picture of the actual Rubik's, the whole thing, the PLC, the 6 axes controllers, and the Rubik's spinner itself. This shows another angle of it. This is what you're getting. This shows the actual layout of the connections that you make. Here's the 10 connector cable, and here's your 2 power wires. Note that you do not have wires coming from this power supply over here that we did have going down to here. We take those off. Do not continue having the wires from up here down to here. Do not do that. Okay, we're going to be looking at the download of the program for the Rubik Starter Program. So we go under Hybrid PLC and High School Rubik's, click on that, come down to week 8 Starter Program, and then it comes up here, Rubik's Trial 2 version 19-1A, and that's what we get. And then we click on it and we say extract all, and we just extract it to the download folder. So click extract. Now we've got this program sitting here, and as we did before, we've got version 19 and version 20. So if you're running version 20, if you're running version 19, just click on it and it'll run. If you're looking at version 20, you have to start version 20 and then bring it in. So it basically, you have to click on version 20 and then do the upgrade, and that's what I'm doing now. So I'm using version 20. So if you're version 19, just click on it. If you're version 20, you have to open existing project, click on it,
and browse. And remember, we put this in the download folder. So we click on that, and this is version 1A. And we click on Rubik's Trial 2, version 19, 1A. If you click on it, now it's asking us, do you want to upgrade? And you click upgrade. And it sits there and spins for a while. So this is going to take a little bit of time. But this is where we remember from the, if you did Lab 7, that we had to do the steps where we compiled but didn't download the PLC program. We went over and compiled the HMI program. The reason for that is because you have to have the same certificate, which is the date stamp, for each of them before you can download. So if you were to do the compile and then download without compiling the HMI program, it wouldn't download. It would kick it back to you, and you'd say it won't work. And you'll say, now why? And then basically you're going around this little circle. But if you do the compile PLC, compile HMI, that puts those date stamps on both of them for the same date. Then you can do your download to your PLC, and you can do your simulation for your HMI, and you're good to go. So now let's go ahead and click on Project View. That's what we're going to do. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at this system here, and we're going to make sure that we've got everything that we need. And we can click on the. It looks like it's good that way, and it looks good under connections. It looks good that way. And we've got a high HMI connection, so we're good there. So let's also go down and check the HMI to see if we got the right IP address for the for this guy. So let's go down and check and see if we got that. And somehow we lost it. We got to get it back. And so let's click under Properties and Profinet Interface and see if we've got the right IP address. It should say 192.168.0.2, which it does. If it doesn't, make sure this is a 2 or the same address that you are using for your computer. So basically, we're using 192.168.0.2 as the Ethernet port for our computer. This has to match. This has to match that IP address. So anyway, now we come back to the PLC. And you can't do the compile here, but you got to come down into program blocks, and then you click on this program blocks, and now you're going to compile. Now, your tendency is to hit download. Don't do that. Make sure that you come over here under the HMI and click on the screens, and then you can do a compile here. And then now you're ready to do your download. Once this comes up and says it's complete. It takes a little bit of time here. You can see it's going through and taking its while. But once it comes up, it should say no errors. Once that's done, then you're ready to do the rest of your work. So this is the steps that you have to do in order to get this to work. And don't forget that little certificate issue, compile, then download. Now you're ready to do the download to the PLC and also to run your simulation from the HMI.
Then after you've done the starting of the PLC program, you come over, you click down into the area with the screens, and then you click the simulate, the little blue simulate button, and then you'll be able to start working with the program. And that's what we're going to start with right here. We're going to start with the actual program. This is the first screen that you'll see. Okay. This screen has on it the controls to set up the 6 motors. So if you want to test the motor to see if the motor is going to work, you click on the on button for power, and then you click the reset. So it should say on and then click reset. Okay. If it says off, wait, and then until it says on, and then click reset. Then motor select will click one of the 3, the white, green, or red. It's like a switch. You'll see it go into one of the 3 positions. And then down here are the distance and the speed. Now if you put in 100, you're going to get a 90-degree turn. And speed doesn't seem to matter too much. It seems to be about the same speed, but you have really very little control over the speed. It looks like it's going to work about the same no matter what you put in there, but 100 is acceptable. Anything from over like 10 or 15, I say 20, up to 1250 is acceptable for that, either of these two variables. Same with the blue, yellow, and orange. And then here's the program that runs that first part, that actually runs the motors. I just give it to you for reference. One of the reasons I'm showing this to you is because we're going to copy this basic command, this relative move command, when we write our programs later on. When you start writing your programs, you're going to do this many, many, many times. So this is the outline for that. Okay, so here is the layout of the screen. You will see it looking something like this until you actually start entering in the tile colors. And then when you enter in the tile colors, you're going to get something like this, although you probably won't get exactly this, because all I did was when I hit init, then I went down the list. I just kept going down the list: white, blue, red, yellow, green, orange. So I went down the list, and then basically this is filling in these numbers in the array, and you skip the one in the center because that's not needed, because that's never going to move. And as you notice, these buttons down here, I don't explain what these are for, but these are the actual rotate of 90-degree buttons that will actually test to see if these actually rotate, and you can do that as well, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. So this would be before you key in any colors for the layout of the tiles on the Rubik's Cube, and this would be after you've keyed in the variables. Okay. So now I want you to check, as you're keying these in, that you actually are keying in the right numbers. And I want you to do that by looking at what we call a watch table. And this is the view of the watch tables that I keyed in to do that. Now, after you've done this, you'll see that these numbers change. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll see these numbers changing in these values. So again, this is a verification, and I want you to get used to doing that. So as you key these numbers in, or as you click on these and choose these tiles, I want you to have this up and looking at it so that you can actually see these values. And if you see the values change, you know that you've got that you're doing the right thing. If they don't change, then we have a problem. Here's the same thing for the blue, yellow, and orange, and its watch table as well. So that's getting you through the verbiage of this week 8, but now I'm going to show you a little bit about how these programs actually work. And this is all given to you, and from this point on it's going to be some suggestions. So week 9 is not another program, so this is the last program I'll give you. But then week 9, I'll start giving you suggestions on how to do the various things. So that's that's the process we're going to go through, see how that works. Hopefully that works, and if it does, you're on you're launched as far as being able to solve the Rubik's Cube. So that's basically the idea here. So we're going to shut this off. We're going to come back and we're going to look at the program. And right now I've got the watch table up and running, but let's go back and let's look at the screen. So this is the screens that you have. And this would be the screen that you come up with the very first one. And I'm just going to show it to you and kind of overlaying the running program in the background. And you can look at the watch table, or you can look at various parts of this program as you see it. And when you're online and you have the glasses on, you can see the various things going on. Now, I've already click this to on, but when you first see it, you're going to have to click this button right here and it'll turn on, and then you click reset, and then you move through the motors using this switch right here. This would give you the white, the green, and the red. Now this is a relative move, and I put in numbers already here for it. It's 100, and I'm going to click I'm going to show you the picture of that right now. If I can get that picture over there to that and see if I can see it. Let's see if I can see it right now. It's kind of small, but maybe I can see if I can get it going there and see if you can actually see it. Matter of fact, I'm going to increase the size just a little bit to see if you can actually see that on the screen as we're going through this. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to try to see if we can get this to run now. And I'm going to click the red one and see the relative move, see if it runs, and it should run, and it's going clockwise. I want to do the white, and it didn't quite go 100%. Now, if that's the case, for the first one, you add a little bit, add like 105 instead of 100, and do that, and then do it again, and it'll come back. Now it's come back to 100. It's a little sticky at times, so you might have to do that just to get us started. Okay, see that? It's working. Let's go to the next one, the green. You see that? Over here, do the blue first. See, these are just 90 degrees. And then I'm going to select the yellow on the bottom, and then the orange. Okay, now how do you get it to do something different than that? Well, let's go back to the white, which is on top. And let's say I want to go 200. That would be, instead of 90 degrees, that would be 180 degrees, right? Let's see what it does. Didn't quite make it, so we had to add a little bit, 210, to get it back in line. Then go back to 200. And it should be doing okay. Now, how do you make it go minus, or how do you make it go, this was clockwise, this is right hand, and let's think about how you would do the other. So let's go minus 100, minus 100. See if that does a, and I've got to get the minus number in there or it won't work. I've got to go on the screen, minus 100, enter, and see if it says minus 1. Now it does. Let's see if it goes the other way. And it did, but didn't quite go the whole distance, did it? So let's just do it again, 110. That went back to positive. Let's go minus 110. Minus 110. Okay, see if it does it. Okay, so it didn't quite go. Let's do it again. Now it's back. Okay, so we've got to do a little bit of work on that to make it work, but it's a, so you put the minus in front of it, and you click enter, and then you say move, and it'll see if it moves, and it does move pretty well. For the most part, it works pretty well. Occasionally it's a little sticky, but that's, again, you're going to have to work on that and work on details. There is no feedback with these, so in other words, you don't have any way of knowing if they don't go quite that way, but you have to, basically, before you get started, you have to make sure that these are going at 90 degree spins. So now you've got an angle, now you've got a way of moving both positive and negative, either 90 degrees or 180 degrees in either direction, and the positive direction is clockwise, the negative direction is counterclockwise. Now let's click on the next button here. So I already filled in all the white, blue, red, blue, okay, but if you hit init, what you do is it starts again, and I'm going to start doing this again. Let's go orange, green, yellow, red, blue, white. Now that's filling it in backwards, but that's good. I don't really mind doing that. But what that did was it put my system, you know, I'm going instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I went 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I should be able to see that in my array. So let's go up here and look and see if my array says that. And it does say that. See, it says 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that 7 is the one that's the black one, and that's the one that's the next one in line to fill in. So basically, now you're committed to doing something. So if I wanted to go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, and then I started here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would then see that array from 0 through 12 now filled out, through 11 filled out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now I've got to, and I also got to bring this back so that you can see this on my screen, because I forgot that I have all this stuff going like this. So again, I'm sorry about that. We're back to normal, but it's kind of like not quite normal, but it's close. But here I have now the picture of the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it goes, that's the array, that's how it's done, and it keeps going. So again, I don't want to beat you up with this, but I just wanted to show you that. Now, the black one is a 7, which is the next one in line to fill in. So on this screen as well, I wanted to show you that you can spin with the array called the spin. We'll talk about that later, but as you do your code programming of your spinning of an axis, you also have to spin these colors in the array, and this is one of the ways of doing that. Right here is a test way of doing that. You can spin this and watch what happens when you do that. It should spin the array, so it should spin the green axis should spin. The red axis should spin here. The white axis should spin. Let's go back to the green axis and see if it's spinning. Evidently it's not going to spin for us today. We'll check that out. But that's what that's supposed to do, is it's supposed to spin that axis. Now let's go to the next one. These are the colors that are there for this one, and let's see if the spinning works. The blue axis, see if it spins. It does. The yellow. And these are 90-degree spins clockwise. That's all that I did. Okay, so that gets you these array, how the array works with the physical attaching to the colors on the Rubik's Cube. We've got to do that because that's how the array is how we try to discern where we're at and where we're going to be. So that gives us a little bit of an idea how that's going to be done. And the pictures that are shown in the text on week 8 and week 9 show you how these are numbered. I do it 2 or 3 times, and that gives you a little bit of an idea as to how that's done. So now that we've totally confused you, give you some time to think through this and to get this to work. Try it out and see if you can get it to work. We're here to try to help you, and we know that now this will stir a lot of questions and a lot of comments, but now we're going to start. If you can get to this point where you can actually make fill in the Rubik's Cube itself and make the axes turn, then you're ready to write your program, and that's where we're at. So we're ready to launch you off into your own program.